All right, took a couple day break from physically working on the car. Had to go through and prepare some stuff and get some parts together for an upcoming project here in the next few weeks, as well as build some pieces for this and get parts ordered for that so I can go through and fix the issue that I was talking about at the end of last video with the rocker panel and lower quarter. So got a game plan for that, waiting on some parts to arrive. So I'm gonna keep myself busy in the meantime. I went through last night and had the car all masked off, threw some epoxy primer on it, the rear section at least, all the bare metal. So the tail panel, the deck filler panel, all these trunk gutters, everything up on the inside and backside as well. Took this aluminum panel off the back, painted all behind that. Looks really nice. Used some of this Eastwood stuff. Works pretty good. I like it. The only downside is these cans are pretty expensive. And I used 2 of them to do this whole rear back section along with those panels up there. And it probably wasn't enough. So I gotta get some more to do some other spots anyway. So just keep that in mind. But that is all protected. I want to get that protected before the springtime here, especially once the weather starts changing and it gets pretty humid. I did not want moisture building up on bare metal there, so that's all protected. Happy with it. And it's cool to finally see this all in one color. You can really see how smooth this all is now. And hopefully with just a little bit of body work, when that time comes, this will all come to life here and look pretty solid once it's all said and done. The last bare metal area on the rear section of the car is this rear window lip, ledge, whatever you would like to call it, the spot where the quarter panels and deck filler panel attach to the actual structure of the car. If you guys remember some videos from a couple months ago, I went through and rebuilt this whole rear window channel area. That was a ton of work. I integrated this dimple die piece underneath, came up with a really solid foundation, no more rust anywhere on that, so I could start laying these new panels on top. Obviously, I have all these holes pre-drilled already. Everything is already prepped with some weld-through primer on it. I quite literally just need to go through, probably hit it with a DA one more time, if not a wire wheel, clean it up a little bit, go through, start welding it, and we'll knock those welds down, get it looking all nice and seamless, and then this rear section here should be pretty done. Fully welded up, metal finished, and all the welds ground down. Happy with how it turned out. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but it's yet again another detail. You could see these corners right here aren't welded up yet, and that is because I don't have the trim piece for this back corner here. I was watching an old clip from a birdsong video, and I saw he mentioned that the angle of this is off compared to the trim piece. So I think I have this trim piece, this corner. I just gotta find it somewhere. If I don't, I'll have to get one. But I can't remember if this angle has to be brought up or brought down. I'm not totally sure, but this angle does have to be adjusted. So when the time comes for that, I'll go ahead and do that. Other than that, I'll metalwork the inside of these along with the inside of this lip once I cut this package tray out and build my own package tray. It'll be a lot easier to access that. I can go through and hammer and dolly this. It's pretty straight. You can see it's a little bit wavy. I got some like wide vice grips that I was moving around to make sure that it was pretty flat. It's not 100%, so like I said, it could use some hammer and dolly work, but once again, I'll do that once the inside is all metal finished and that's all wrapped up. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and just toss a top coat of primer on this so it doesn't flash rust. And I'm gonna go ahead, lower the car off the chassis table here, flip it around, put the back of the car in the unit this way. That way I can start working on the side marker patch panel for that side, and then kind of work my way up towards this side of the car here. It'd be a little bit easier if I got some more space on that side there. So the next thing, like I mentioned, is going to be making the filler piece to get rid of this side marker light. You guys saw a couple snippets of me doing it on the other side there, and I threw some epoxy primer, like I said, on the whole back side and on that piece over there. And seeing that with like at least some color over it was pretty nice. So it turned out really good. I'm happy with the way everything came to be on that. Learned a good bit of warping and, you know, working with a bigger surface area here, trying to blend a piece in. You can see it's got this little step on here. So what I did on the other side is I made this template right here. It basically just goes about 1/8 inch around the outer lip of that step. So I'll go through, wire wheel this e-coating off, toss the template on, trace the template out, cut it to this shape, go through, make a back piece for that, and then weld it all in place. I had a decent amount of people asking what material I've been using for all the sheet metal pieces here. Been using 18 gauge. That's what all these reproduction panels are. It's what a lot of the factory stuff is. So 18 gauge, using a 16 inch tungsten, using 16 inch filler rod, and been welding it at like 55 amps for all the sheet metal stuff. Seems to work out pretty good. So on the other piece there, I went through and kind of did like the corners and then straights. I think for this one, I'm going to try to just weld the whole top half in one, try to weld the whole bottom half in one, and we'll see if that gets a little less warping. If not, I know I'm going to have to do a little bit of hammer and dolly work to this anyway. So I got the quarter panel itself all the way prepped, trimmed out. Now it is time to go through and prep the actual piece, the patch panel, if you want to call it that. I could have used the cardboard template and laid it out on some metal here, but once again, cardboard does have a little bit of a tolerance when it comes to tracing and stuff like that. So something that I've been using over the past few months is this layout fluid here. It's worked really well, helps you get a nice crisp precision line. You can get this stuff in like an ink or a spray. Spray is just easier. So I'll go ahead, toss a coat or two on this, then put this up on the back side of the quarter panel, press up against it, and then take a scribe, scribe my line, cut that out, and that will be an exact fit right there. got the piece fully welded on now, and there's definitely less warping on this side compared to the other side I did. On the other side, I had like a line like right here, almost up to this body line that I had to go through and hammer dolly out, and we'll see what it looks like when it cools, but it's feeling pretty good so far and it looks pretty good. Kind of happy with these welds here. That top one looks really consistent. I had one restart right there, but I'm pretty happy with that restart there. The bottom got a little bit shaky. The sides, the left side's better than the right side. I really want to focus on the corners to make sure I get even heat distribution. That's why I rounded the corners. I think it's someone on Instagram asking about the rounded corners opposed to just like the 90-degree corners. I've always been told that rounded corners help with heat distribution. If it's on a piece like this, you know, a small rounded corner, it might not do a whole lot, but it's definitely better than nothing. So I think it did work there. All in all, based upon the heat marks, yeah, heat is definitely pretty evenly distributed there. So we'll keep moving on, but for only TIG welding sheet metal like this for about 2 months now, just continue to get better with every step there. And now that that's done, it is time to hammer and dolly that and grind the welds down, DA it. We'll see what we're looking like warpage wise, and then have to go through and probably spend some more time hammer dollling it until it blends in perfectly. Quick little progress update after I went through and did the first round of hammer and dolly work, ground down the welds, just DA'd it real quick to kind of see where we're at. Started out with the little handheld belt sander, that guy down there. Usually do like 60 or 80 grit on that. After I go through and basically planish the welds, try to knock them down as best I can, then hit them with that belt sander there. After that, I go through with hammer and dolly. This dolly actually fits the shape of this quarter panel fairly well, kind of with this arch. So just using that on the back side to go through and knock down the welds. And then once that's pretty good, you know, it's just kind of bouncing back and forth between the DA, the belt sander, hammer dolly work until I get something I like. Since I did have a little bit of warping with this to get the piece to kind of, you know, push out, or if I need it to come out from the backside, I've been going through and using this wood block, basically just walking it up and down like so with the hammer if I need to go side to side, or kind of turning it in the corners, whatever works. This way the hammer end doesn't leave any hammer strikes on the backside. But you have to be careful with this because obviously if you hammer it on a corner like that, it'll put a mark in there. So just kind of going slow, feeling what pressure will work best for that. And it's not that like any of these steps or anything I'm doing is, I don't know, the right way technically. It's just kind of what I found that works best for what I have. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of what you got to do if you're building anything on a car, just figuring out what works the best. So this is kind of the solution I came up with after doing the other side there. It's working out pretty good on this side here. So a little bit more work, probably about another hours or so worth of work to get this completely flat. And then I do have a little bit of warping kind of up in this area, so I'll kind of have to pop that out. Basically oil canned back there. But other than that, keep checking it with the ruler horizontally like this, and keep making some progress on this. There we have it. Patch panel is all completed, fully welded on, metal finished, hammer and dollied. As far as I'm going to go, it'll still need a little bit of tweaking, but because this quarter panel is obviously not mounted anywhere on the bottom, it is going to just shake around like that. And it's really hard to hammer and dolly stuff when the quarter panel keeps shaking like that. So once this is mounted to the panels underneath and the chassis, things of that nature, and the cars in the body work stage, I'll probably go through and do a little bit more work to this here. Overall, pretty happy with it. This side definitely went by quicker and was definitely easier than the driver's side there. So I'd say I learned a decent amount doing those pieces there. Although it is a pretty simple piece, doing a flat piece like that basically just mounts flat to something, you know, it's not on a corner, it's not on a radius, anything like that, is one of the trickiest things, in my opinion at least. That one's got a very slight radius to it, but it's not like, you know, we don't have like a 45-degree bend or a 90-degree bend, anything like that on it. So especially with it being such a visible piece, I know it's not exactly the most interesting thing between that and then that rear window channel there, but I did want to get a video out this week, and I wanted to try something different, basically showing the entire process kind of step by step and explain things along the way. I know to some people it'll probably be boring. Other people may like it. If you like that sort of thing, you know, where I kind of go through and walk through, let me know. Maybe I'll start doing more stuff of that. I'm learning as I'm doing this stuff as well, so it's kind of hard to convey that to the camera sometimes. And half the times I'm just trying stuff until it works, so I don't like talking about that or necessarily saying that, because if it's wrong, I don't want to put that information necessarily out into the world and have someone else try doing something that way. But the other side of it is, you know, if it is something different or something a little bit, I guess, you know, unique to make something happen, if someone sees that, you know, maybe it'll give them a thought or idea and open up the door for something else to be created or something else to happen. So I don't know, just some thoughts on that there. Other than that, it's gonna wrap it up for this video here. I'm still waiting on a couple pieces. There are actually some pretty big pieces for the next project on this. And as long as those show up within the next day or two here, I can get rocking and rolling on that. I got everything I need to prepped. So once the pieces arrive, I can get everything welded together, start fitting it all on the car, and we'll go from there. But I'm excited for that, and that should be coming out here in the next video.